Pokémon Scarlet and Violet, the Indigo Disc, brought 25 legendary Pokémon from past games to the Paldea region. All of you are able to go out and catch them all, but only after finishing the story of the Indigo Disc. I'm going to walk you through each step you need to do to unlock all of them and where they all spawn. Let's get into it. There's an NPC named Snacksworth that you could find at the entrance of Blueberry Academy. Again, make sure you have already completed the story first. Also keep in mind that certain legendary Pokémon are version exclusives to solo BBQs and some are version exclusives to group BBQs, but you are able to find them all in your game without trading. Snacksworth will ask you to complete a ton of BBQs. There are solo BBQs and group BBQs that you can do. As long as you do both of them, you are able to find every legendary in the wild. Here is the list of legendaries. For those who play Pokémon Scarlet, Suicune, Raikou, Entei, Solgaleo, Reshiram, Glastrier, Ho-Oh, Latios, and Groudon can be unlocked by completing solo BBQs. For those who play Pokémon Violet, Cobalion, Terrakion, Virizion, Lunala, Zekrom, Spectrier, Lugia, Latias, and Kyogre can be unlocked by completing solo BBQs. If you wish to unlock the version exclusives of the opposite game, all you have to do is do group quests. Articuno, Zapdos, Moltres, and Kubfu are available to unlock in both versions by doing solo BBQs. Necrozma, Rayquaza, and Kyurem are available in both versions by completing group BBQs. To unlock every legendary Pokémon that I mentioned, you'll need to complete a total of 130 solo quests and 12 group quests. Upon receiving the Suicune snack from Snacksworth, he'll say, "See, I spotted Suicune once while I was out enjoying that famous lake you've got on Paldea. We ended up having a little contest of skill, seeing which of us could get all the way to shore fastest. We're off like a shot, but that Suicune, well, it runs right over the water, and well, don't it? Me being just your everyday human, the best I could manage was a nice solid backstroke. It was a fine race, though, mighty fine, even if that Suicune did end up beating me by a whisker." Suicune will be located right here on the map. Upon receiving the Raikou snack from Snacksworth, he'll say, "Yes, there was a day me and old Raikou went racing up a mountain together. That Raikou, it's no slouch, that's for sure, kept dashing right past me and taking the lead. I was huffing and puffing and muttering some colorful things as I chased that wily Pokemon. But in the end, we were sitting side by side atop that peak, gazing out upon the massive and majestic desert that covers the land to the north." Raikou will be located right here on the map. Upon receiving the Entei snack from Snacksworth, he'll say, "Would you believe it? I simply ran smack dab into Entei while out adventuring in Paldea. You know that stretch that's dotted with mines and everywhere you look, there's another hole? Well, there was Entei popping through those caves like it was having a grand old time. I don't like to be outshone, but so I did my best to keep up with the feller. Whew, hey, what a chase. We ended up all the way at the coast side by side as we gazed out over the endless blue." Entei will be located right here on the map. Upon receiving the Solgaleo snack from Snacksworth, he'll say, "I'd gone to pay Paldea's Pokemon League a little visit at that fine building they've got there. I was just admiring the structure from outside when one of the staffers noticed me and invited me in for a better look. They took me up to the observation deck, all done up with that logo of theirs. I was looking toward the academy and enjoying the view when a shadow fell across us. I kid you not, young friend, it was Solgaleo itself. It was only there a moment before it dashed right off again in a flash, so I couldn't even get the how do you do, but it was magnificent." Solgaleo will be located right here on the map. Upon receiving the Lunala snack from Snacksworth, he'll say, I was on a fine sandy beach in Paldea, gazing out at the sun as it set into the sea. Looking at the sun really reminds you just how small you are as one person, you know? I was getting all sentimental as I watched the light slipping away. It hadn't yet appeared when suddenly this great crescent moon bloomed before my eyes. It was only there for an instant, so it was hard to get a good look. But I'm sure that silhouette belonged to Lunala, or my name's not Snacksworth. Lunala will be located right here on the map. Upon receiving the Reshiram snack from Snacksworth, he'll say, See, I saw a Reshiram with my own eyes out near a town that I'd passed through in Paldea. It was a town where a lot of hardworking folk live, the type that get their hands dirty. I'd climb up to a nice height to look out upon all the hard work carved into the landscape. I was just remarking to myself what a fine show of effort it was when I seemed to feel a presence behind me, and when I turned, BAM! There was Reshiram right at my shoulder. I figured it must like good old-fashioned hard work, too. Reshiram will be located right here on the map. Upon receiving the Zekrom snack from Snacksworth, he'll say, I'd set out from Mezagoza thinking I would walk all the way out to Artisan from there. I was making fine progress when this great black shadow streaks across the sky to the east. I was consumed with curiosity, that's for sure, so I climbed real high to try to catch a better look. And wouldn't you know it, there was Zekrom. I stood up at it with, like a country lad seeing his first city, and it came down to land right near me. We watched one another for a time. I couldn't help but bask in how magnificent Zekrom is. Zekrom will be located right here on the map. Upon receiving the Glastrier snack from Snacksworth, he'll say, Did he do Raikou? He's probably missing Raikou. Oh shoot, I'm not reading this. Sorry. I forgot that I was supposed to be reading this. I'd no sooner drawn close for a look than this Pokemon appeared, white as the driven snow. Glastrier has been sleeping inside. When it popped its long face out, the fright nearly froze my heart. Alright, I forgot to read that. Glastrier will be located right here on the map. Upon receiving the Spectrier snack from Snacksworth, he'll say, I was off hiking among Paldean's Peak for a bit of fun, mountain climbing being a bit of a hobby. I was taking my sweet time meandering up some mountain paths dotted sparsely with trees. I came upon this old ruin on the path covered in vines, and I thought to myself, now doesn't that seem as good a place as any to take a rest? I had no sooner drawn close for a look than this black shadow of a Pokemon appeared. Spectrier has been sleeping inside. It popped its long face out and scared the spirit out of me. Spectrier will be located right here on the map. Upon receiving the Ho-Oh snack from Snacksworth, he'll say, Now this is a real old tale from those long ago days when I just started out as a trainer. I was down in the southwest of Paldea, near the cascading waterfalls down there. I'd been up through the night, training without rest to try to make my Pokemon stronger. Then Ho-Oh appears in the sky above me, glittering and sparkling bright as you ever saw. I'd sure like to believe that it appeared there to cheer me on when I was trying so hard. Ho-Oh will be located right here on the map. Upon receiving the Lugia snack from Snacksworth, he'll say,
Ones I haven't found yet, that there's a Lugia treat. You know Lugia? Frightfully rare, that one, not your run-of-the-mill Pokemon. Speaking of Lugia, I do recall this one particular encounter when I was a younger feller. I was paddling in the sea off Paldea, enjoying a leisurely backstroke through those crystal waters. But it was a real frigid stretch of sea, you understand? Didn't take long in that water before I'd started to lose all the warmth in my body. I was shaking like a leaf by the time I found an island and crawled ashore. What should appear before me but a great whirlpool heaving in the sea, and whoosh! Out of it comes Lugia itself. It was knocked flat on my backside in the shock of it all, so delighted I forgot I was even cold.
Lugia will be located right here on the map. Upon receiving the Latios snacks from Snacksworth, he'll say,
One day I ran smack dab into it, brazen as you please, while I was up in northeast Paldea, you see. We couldn't speak each other's language, but I got the feeling it was telling me to follow it. So I gave chase while Latios flew off, and I ended up climbing these mighty steep cliffs. Next time I looked up, I realized I'd come to a small lake nestled in between some jagged cliffs. It was a secret spot, alright?
Latios will be located right here on the map. Upon receiving the Latias snack from Snacksworth, he'll say,
I was off enjoying a spot of backstroke in the sea to the south of Paldea at the time. I'd been going on for a good while, so I'd come to feel a bit tuckered out and in need of a rest. Came ashore to rest in the sand in the shadow of some cliffs. When, you won't believe it, there's Latias just right there before me. Our eyes met, and it gave me a jolly little smile. Then it flew off again out of sight.
Latias will be located right here on the map. Upon receiving the Groudon snacks from Snacksworth, he'll say,
I did spy a Groudon once back in the days when I was adventuring around Paldea. You know the huge cave system under that one town? I never can remember the name. Anyway, the name don't matter, except to say that that's the place where I saw that feller. I thought to myself, well, if that ain't Groudon, and I gave a big wave of my arms to say hello. What else are you supposed to do when faced with the continent Pokemon, I ask you? So anyway, I did that, and then it showed me its huge fearsome claws that it did.
Groudon will be located right here on the map. Upon receiving the Kyogre snack from Snacksworth, he'll say,
I was on another one of my adventures around Paldea when I spotted these odd rocks in the sea. I thought to myself, now Snacksworth, those have gotta be those famous rocks said to bring riches. So I figured I might as well squeeze my eyes shut real tight and make a wish on them. After a few seconds, I opened my eyes, and what should appear in front of those rocks but Kyogre, just big and blue and brazen as you please. Now that was a shocking day, make no mistake.
Kyogre will be located right here on the map. Upon receiving the Cobalion snack from Snacksworth, he'll say,
I was on one of my adventures in Paldea when Cobalion just pranced on down from a cliff. I was real flummoxed at first when it stopped right before me. Maybe it was just pausing to stare because my face looked so funny. Anyway, that old Cobalion started to stroll away, so I followed, and it led me to a famed waterfall. I tried to say thanks, but old Cobalion just dashed off into the bamboo grove, cool as you please.
Cobalion will be located right here on the map. Upon receiving the Terrakion snack from Snacksworth, he'll say,
It was just a regular day, and I was out doing a bit of my beloved rock climbing as I want to. I had made it up quite high. When I turned around for a breath, I could just make out Cortando in the distance off to the south. I was simply standing there admiring the view when the next thing I knew, Terrakion had plonked down for a sit right beside me. Perhaps it was simply at loose ends. It sat with me for some time and we ate some snacks together.
Terrakion will be located right here on the map. Upon receiving the Virizion snack from Snacksworth, he'll say, I tell you no lies, I simply came across Virizion resting among the trees one day while I was on one of my adventures around Paldea. And what trees they were, all done up in these mysterious patterns like I've never seen. We stayed there a good while, me and Virizion, gazing at one another twixt those fanciful trees. But that old Virizion, it didn't run off, just gave me this curious look, you know? So I sat there and told it about my adventures, and I listened with a kindly air the whole time. Virizion will be located right here on the map. Upon receiving the Articuno snack from Snacksworth, he'll say,
See, I'd found this lovely pond up in the snowy peaks of Paldea, and I decided to go for a dip, hankering for a bit of cold water swimming. When, would you believe it, Articuno comes swooping down along the nearby waterfall and starts flying about above me, singing away. I was tickled pink, I was. Went on merrily singing with Articuno even as the sun set and the moon rose. Before I knew it, it was morning again.
Articuno will be located right here on the map. Upon receiving the Zapdos snack from Snacksworth, he'll say,
I'd climbed right up to the tippy top of one of those lighthouses you've got in Paldea, and I was taking in the view looking over a distant city. When, would you believe it, the heavens broke wide open and rain started pouring down on me. I thought I'd better get out of that mess in a hurry, so I turned to head down again. Then the whole sky lit up like a huge crash of lightning and Zapdos came flying out of nowhere. It blew right past me, quick as a flash.
Zapdos will be located right here on the map. Upon receiving the Moltres snack from Snacksworth, he'll say,
I was off doing a spot of rock climbing over in western Paldea at the time. The weather was sure something else that day. Sandstorms were kicking up the whole desert, my mouth was as sandy as the ground. I was about ready to call it quits when Moltres appeared in a blaze of glory, so bright you could see it through the blowing sands. I don't know if it's meant to cheer me on, but it certainly did, and I completed my climb that day.
Moltres will be located right here on the map. Upon receiving the Kubfu snack from Snacksworth, he'll say,
I was adventuring off in Paldea when I saw Kubfu training. I ambled right up to it and asked, "Oh, hard at work training, are you?" Why, the two of us got on like a house on fire. We trained together for a time till Kubfu seemed to be itching to move on. But it left me a gift. It plucked up a haul of bamboo sprouts that grew nearby just for me.
Kubfu will be located right here on the map. Upon receiving the Necrozma snack from Snacksworth, he'll say,
I was sitting in the stream of one of Paldea's waterfalls, letting the pounding water cleanse my mind, when I looked up and saw Necrozma sat right above me, giving me the ugliest glare. I thought it'd be unwise of me not to stand my ground, so I squared up and roared as loud as the water. That held old Necrozma off like a shot. And it wasn't just Necrozma either. That shout of mine sent all the nearby sawsbucks scattering too, wouldn't you know it?
Necrozma will be located right here on the map. Upon receiving the Rayquaza snack from Snacksworth, he'll say,
I was doing a bit of mountain climbing, hauling myself up some mighty steep Paldean cliffs. When I made it to the top, now that was the kind of sight a man lives for. I looked down over the edge into a sea of white mist, unbroken as far as the eye could see. There was something truly mystical about it all. And what came bursting right out of that dense fog but old Rayquaza like a cork out of a bottle. I nearly fell back down the mountain in shock.
Rayquaza will be located right here on the map. Upon receiving the Kyurem snack from Snacksworth, he'll say,
See, I was up climbing the snowy mountains when a terrible storm blew in, and I had no choice, really, but to hunker down in a cave underground. Don't even rightly know if I should call that place a cave. It was all soaring heights and wide passages, befuddling as any labyrinth too. I was having a grand time exploring its many nooks and crannies when the sheet of ice near me suddenly up and moved. I rubbed my eyes, not believing what I was seeing, once I realized it was no ice sheet. It was Kyurem right there in front of me. Who would believe it, right?
Kyurem will be located right here on the map. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. If it helped you, please give this video a like and subscribe for more Pokemon content. I hope to see you guys in a future video.